to the Legacy and Light podcast, where we are creating a culture of community by sharing stories of what God has done. I'm Allie Maddox, your host for today's episode. And today we have a really cool guest that I think you might remember from, January? Did you interview Whitney Capps for us for
Yes,
the
I
podcast?
did.
So you will probably recognize her. This is Jennifer Burke. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, taking time out of your day. Really appreciate it. So tell us a little bit about where would we most likely see you around church?
So for the last 30 some odd years, you'll see me in the choir loft in the alto section.
Lovely.
Yes, love it. During the 9:30 service, we are on the very front row. I discovered early on that I get very distracted if there's anybody in front of me, so my poor family has to sit on the very front row. And on Monday nights, I lead a Bible study.
I love that. What Bible study do you lead?
We're doing Daniel this
Okay.
semester, so Beth Moore's Daniel.
Is that with the women's ministry or is that like a
Yes.
separate?
With
Okay.
women's ministry.
So
yeah.
cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So one, I wish I was an alto. I've always wished I was. I'm definitely not.
Girl.
The Lord did not give that part to me. But anyway, so I've always admired the alto parts.
They're fun,
Super fun.
you have a whole different sort of gift.
We've all, yes.
Yes.
Yep. So tell us about early childhood and maybe like your journey to the Lord. Were you raised in a Christian home or no?
So I was. My parents were both very strong believers. I would say that my mother exhibited more of her faith probably than my daddy did. So yes, raised in church, all the things, 9 months before I was born, the whole thing. I was in the 4th grade, 5th grade. I don't really know how old that made me, whatever that was.
Yeah.
And was baptized and can see through my life that was definitely when I accepted Christ. But when I came to Tech to go to college, there was just a lot of turmoil inside. And so I did rededicate my life and was baptized again.
Okay.
When I was in college. And so that's the one that not that that's the one that stuck. The first one stuck just fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that's the one that I was like, okay, now you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going.
Mm-hmm. I think that makes a lot of sense, and we hear that a lot of just like there is not necessarily like as we grow older and we start to understand a little bit more of the kind of like theology behind it all and stuff. It's like, okay, this is, it's like we were believers, but now things are starting to click a little bit
Absolutely.
more. So I think that's awesome. So where were you before? Where'd you grow up?
Well, I was born in Lubbock. I have a lot of roots out here, but we moved to Plano when I was in 3rd grade. And so that's where I grew up and graduated from high school.
Okay.
And then just came back out here to go to school.
Cool. What'd you go to Tech for?
Russian language and area studies.
Sorry about that.
I know. So took Russian in high school. You're required foreign language, whatever. And I know, literally on the way home from an event one night, it was raining. And the Russian club had hosted a group of dancers from a sister city. I'm on my way home. And, when you have to turn down the radio so you can see better.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I did. Because it was just pouring down rain. Closest thing I've ever imagined or could ever imagine hearing the audible voice of the Lord.
Okay.
You need to major in Russian. Cool. I don't know what you do with that, but okay. And at the time, there were only 2 universities in the state that offered it. And it was University of Texas and, oddly, Texas Tech. So pretty sure my mother would have disowned me if I had gone to the University of Texas. We do not do burnt orange in our house. And of course, with all my roots and family and such out here, it was a pretty easy decision. And of course, now I can see, why the Lord would want me out here, just the different ways that he's guided my life in the different areas since then. But
So did you graduate with that?
I sure did.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you do after graduation?
Nothing with that. Nothing with that. I've used my degree a handful of times. Southcrest actually had a sister city in Russia for a time.
That's so
cool. They would send letters that were, of course, in Russian. And so Brother David would come into the choir loft on Wednesday nights. He didn't even open the letters. He just handed them to me and said, let me know. And so I loved that I was able to at least use it a little bit. But honestly, I've done whatever the Lord says to do next. I just do the next thing, whatever that looks like and whatever he says.
Yeah. So what did that mean right after?
Right after I graduated, it meant I went to work for Tech. I had been working at Tech as a student. I was a secretary in the College of Architecture, and then kind of bounced around a little bit. And after graduation, Troy and I got married. I was an advisor in the College of Arts and Sciences for about 7 years. And when our oldest was on the way, it became very clear that the Lord was like, you need to be staying home with your children, which was not part of my plan.
Yeah.
My husband and I have had maybe 5 arguments in our marriage. That was one of them.
That's a big one.
But it was very clear that the Lord said, you need to be staying home with your children. And so that's what I did next.
Man.
And since then it's just been, I went back to work part-time when they were in junior high for a nonprofit. We built the Milestones Development and Play Park. And just a couple of months ago, the Lord was like, okay, we're moving again. And now I'm working for a different nonprofit. It's an international nonprofit, but I work from home.
Yeah.
Which is the most glorious thing.
Yes.
Absolutely ever. So
yeah. How was your daily walk with the Lord, like kind of struggling through listening to him and doing what he wants you to do versus what the plan was?
So by the time Turner was on the way, the Lord and I had had some discussions because I couldn't have children. We had had 4 doctors tell us that we would never have children.
Wow.
And that was a difficult journey. We were at that age where everybody we knew was having children. And in fact, most of them were on round 2. So there were baby showers and excitement for them and those phone calls where they were like, okay, I need you to sit down. And I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. You can't, please don't lock me out of your life with this because I can't have kids. And so the Lord and I we had some very, very raw discussions. But by the time this part of the journey came and it was, no, you are going to stay home with your children. I was like, okay, you've made yourself clear.
Yeah.
You've led me this far and you've provided and you've gifted and you've worked these miracles. I can do that.
Yeah.
So,
were you able to have them?
So Turner Edward is our oldest, and he was given to us by another mother. One of the girls that worked for my husband knew this family, and their situation was very bleak. They'd already had 2 children taken by CPS, and they did not want the third one to be taken. And so that was another one of those moments where it was like, this is no question. Like when Troy came home and told me about it, I just said, oh, that's our baby. Like, that's ours. We had been investigating other options. We had tried artificial insemination and nothing was successful. And so here, this young woman, just didn't want another baby taken away. And so it was a precious experience, if not difficult, bringing him home. And that was in June of 2003. In February of 2004, on Ash Wednesday, not Catholic, but Ash Wednesday is a very important day to me, because Turner in his little carrier and I are standing at the counter at CVS asking for a pregnancy test. And poof, there we were. Here comes Timothy.
My word.
So, yeah, it was very much 2 little miracles back to back.
Yeah.
And the Lord didn't choose to work another one. And that was totally okay. He had done more than we could have possibly asked for, and certainly more than we deserved, with these 2 little boys. And they're my absolute everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man. Were there any specific challenges with the adoption process?
There were fears, for sure, because her mental capacity was not all there. And the father was just very disengaged because he knew that they couldn't keep the babies. And so there was a fear that she would change her mind. And at one point she was trying to play us against, there was a couple that had actually adopted the first two siblings. And so she was trying to, in her way, play us against them. Come to find out much later, they didn't even know Turner was coming. They had no idea. And by the time they found out about him, we already had him.
Mm-hmm.
Or they would have, they would have adopted him too and just kept the siblings all together. But the Lord worked the weirdest situation. I was outside. I used to coordinate the collection center for Operation Christmas Child. And so I was outside one November. It was on collection day at the bus barn. And Turner comes over and he said, he was 12, I think. And he said, "Mama, do I have a sister?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And he had received a message on Instagram from a young lady who said that she was pretty sure that he was her little brother. And, all these questions. And I was like, okay. So I grabbed Troy and we took Turner home for a little bit to have this discussion. And he already knew, I guess, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I think Troy had said something about there being siblings at some point. He already knew he was adopted. That was not a secret.
Yeah.
That would have been a whole different disaster. But anyway, and so that Christmas, we surprised all the kids and drove up to where these siblings live, and they all got to meet.
Wow.
And so now we are a tight-knit little group of humans. His sister just got married. She's got 2 kiddos. Her husband is fantastic. His brother has a wonderful girlfriend. You can see the family resemblance. You can see the genes, and their mom and I will text not as regularly as we used to, but like when different medical things come up, we're like, okay, did you know this? Have you experienced this? And there's no part of me that would have expected that when Turner was born. Not even a little bit. His birth mother passed away 2 years ago, I think. I think it was 2 years ago, Halloween. He's just my baby.
Man.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful how open y'all have been to investigate those things and to reunification?
Yeah.
With siblings.
He would say the weirdest things when he was little. He was 2, brushing his teeth. And he would say something about going back to his other house. I'm like, Bubba, you don't have another house.
Yeah.
Like, I was there when he was born. Like, there is no other house. And, then he was 4 and he asked about, we were at an ice cream place and these 3 couples walked in and they were all pregnant. And he kind of looked at him and he looked at me and he said, "Mama, did I come from your tummy?" And I was like, "Oh, you're 4.
Yeah.
This is a fun question." And I was like, "No, Bubba, you didn't. No, you didn't. But the Lord gave you to us just as quickly as he could."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man, what an awesome story.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So you said that you, it seems like you've done a lot of nonprofit work and things like that. Was that something that you wanted to do, that you knew you wanted to do, or is that kind of just?
No. Literally, it was just the Lord doing the next thing. When I took the job with Alstrom Angels, I was kind of scrolling through Indeed looking for things, and I was like, this doesn't even sound real. Like there's no way this organization, this is not legit. This is like a little scam. And then a friend of mine texted me the exact same job opening because she knew I was looking. And so I was like, So I did some research and I applied. And one of the things that the director wanted in the resume was, because it was for the director of special events, that's the position. And I had been coordinating the women's ministry for quite some time at that point. And so she wanted examples of events that had been coordinated. And so I sent a big one and a smaller one with pictures and all the things. And so she really loved the creativity that came along with those. That started an 8-year journey of working for them and coordinating some events and then building the park and really learning to love not just the nonprofit world, because they are such a tight-knit family. Like whichever area of the nonprofit. Like that one, the Ahlstrom family is very small, but come from all over the world. And when they have their international conference, it's like a big family reunion. Well, now I work for a nonprofit that works specifically with blind and low vision. And it's just the same. I mean, and there's so many more of them, but they're still just like a tight-knit family. And so I think just being able to feel useful, being able to feel, I do enjoy the event planning side. And so being able to do some of that has just been fun.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just do the next thing. Whatever the Lord says, here you go. I'm like, okay.
And that's amazing.
So, yeah.
Truly. I've had some friends that like kind of trying to get, really difficult to get nonprofits started.
Yes, it is.
And I don't think I was aware how honestly much hard work and very late nights, lots of hours go into just creating these things. There's so much red tape around it all.
There is.
And so when you hear about these families that have been doing it for a really long time, I'm just like, man, just thinking about how much effort they put into this and how much they care about the thing that they're trying to support.
Absolutely.
It's
so
crazy.
Often it affects a family member.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Ahlstrom Angels was started, because my boss's daughter was diagnosed with Ahlstrom syndrome. It's one of the rarest diseases in the world. AER, the nonprofit I work for now, it's been around since 1984. But my boss, the executive director, his daughter has very low vision. And so he's passionate, about the situation. And so about the research and the education in the field of blind and low vision. So.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Could you talk to us about when you were raising your boys? How did you cultivate a Christian household, or what were you doing with them, or even just like your daily life?
Right. Because for most of their formative years, I was up here. I was teaching at KDO.
Okay.
I was coordinating the women's ministry. I was in choir. My husband was a Sunday school teacher. So there might be one day a week that we were not at church.
Yeah.
When there were, at the time, we would do a lot of, simulcasts. The women's ministry would do simulcasts or whatever.
Oh, cool.
And so one particular year, I just remember my boys being with me up here. It was like 5:30 in the morning. And so they were very accustomed to being up here, and in the church and with the people, on Wednesdays or on Sunday mornings, I guess. We would be here early to rehearse. My father-in-law was the music pastor at the time. And so we would be up here early on Sunday mornings to rehearse for a little bit. And, the boys would come, and I would remind them as they were walking back to Sunday school, I know every single human between here and your room, and I will know if you do something you're not supposed to do.
It makes it tough.
I mean,
rebel
a little bit. We had Bible stories that we would read. When they're little, it's just easy because they just absorb it all. I think the harder part was when they got older. They get older, and that's when they start to have those moments of their own. Do I really believe this? And that's when it gets a little more challenging. And I find myself having to really be more quiet about it and way more prayerful, because I see them questioning to a certain extent. I've got one that completely questions his belief altogether. And so I'm watching him go through this journey, and I've got these two things written on my mirror in my bathroom. And one of them is a verse that says, do not embitter your children or they will become discouraged. And it's very easy for me to try to continue to pound scripture or pound our beliefs into him, but that's not going to help. It's got to be his. It's got to be his decision. And then there's somebody was sharing it, but it was a quote from this article that says, you cannot save your children from their testimony. And so trying to remember that whatever he's trying to figure out and whatever he's trying to go through, that's what the Lord will use someday. I was there when he was saved. I know it's real. And I know enough as a 51-year-old woman to know that we're all going to question stuff at some point. And so whatever he needs to question at this point, let him question and believe the promises that God has made, that he's not going to let go of my baby. So I can't really, it's really hard for me to say when they were younger what that looked like, because it was so easy.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. It doesn't seem easy
Mm-hmm.
when you're in the middle of littles. My experience is that it's been way harder with them being grown, but letting them figure things out on their own, watching them struggle with whatever, and just being there when they're ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's something that we've heard a lot is it's really interesting times when young adults and teenagers want to open up.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually really late at night.
Or in the backseat of the car.
And you're
Yes.
just like,
yes, it is.
this is, we don't have time for this, but okay. You know,
Here we
because you
go.
want to steward that relationship
You
and
do.
answer the question, but it's always seemingly it's always at a time that's like
Absolutely, yes.
kind of inconvenient.
Yes,
The fact that we can't save people is really hard.
it is hard. Yes, it is.
You know, we want to take that responsibility on ourselves. And even like my kids are really little.
Yeah.
And so just like looking at them and like, obviously I'm very pregnant, so I can get very emotional very fast.
It doesn't take much for me, I understand.
Yeah. And so just like looking at Millie and thinking, okay, in 20 years, she'll be 26. What is she going to be struggling with that I'm going to feel like I want to fix this for you. But then God's like, you can't do it. Like you have to let him work in his timing. And I just can't imagine how hard that is going to be to just.
And it is. That's when, I mean, I do have taken a lot of comfort in the praying.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always prayed for my kids, but I'm not going to lie, there's a lot more of it going on now than there was when we were little. I don't know how it was for everybody in my generation. There wasn't a lot of open discussion with my parents. I don't think it's that they were unavailable or unwilling.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't something that was really done, at least not in our house.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but just being able to have those discussions, even when they're younger, allows it, when they're older and they're struggling, for them to know, okay, mom and dad are a safe place.
Yeah.
They may not agree with me, but they're a safe place, and I know I can talk to them and we'll figure this out together.
I remember marrying into a family that openly talks about everything.
Yes.
And feel like the first time that I was there, I was like, oh, you're just arguing with each other all the time. And he's like, no, we were raised to say your opinion and talk to each other. It's respectful, but it's okay to not agree with everything that each other's saying.
Absolutely.
And I just remember being like, how am I going to learn to do that so that I can be okay with my kids doing that, because I want to be that, but I wasn't raised that way. Our family just wasn't as open about everything. And I don't think that if I didn't bring something to them that I was raised by my grandparents, I don't think that they would shut it down, but it just it wasn't taught to me to do that.
Yes.
And so I just never thought to do that. And so then I ended up growing up in a way of thinking that if someone disagrees with me, it's like, it's a personal thing or, and I don't want that for my kids. Right. And so David's really good because they're all just having these big old, he's one of 5. They talk about it.
They talk about the things.
Yeah, they talk about all the things. And, you're not going to get 5 people to agree on one thing.
It's truth.
For the most part.
Right. That's truth.
And so they can have these really deep theological discussions, honestly. And it's so cool to watch them.
Yeah.
And and so it's like, I want our kids to feel safe in that of
Absolutely.
Let's look into things and ask questions and bring them up and let's discuss and let's research what you're talking about, because what was it? We introduced a song a couple of weeks ago in the venue worship, and it's called Monday Morning Faith, and it talks about it being your own.
Right.
And really knowing the Lord and not just taking from, it says like, I don't want my mother's faith. And so
Absolutely.
Instead of it just being passed down and like being kind of wishy-washy about it, like the questions are helpful and they're really important because now, you're curious. And even if it comes across sometimes in a non-believing way, I don't know if that's the best way to say that, it's causing a deeper understanding.
Absolutely.
Just because of the curiosity of it is like, well, why do we do this if the Bible says this? Or,
Right.
It's like cultural versus biblical.
Right.
Because in this area, that can be tough.
It can be tough. And the distinction between the church and the people is also very different. Trying to convince a child, yes, you made mistakes, and yes, people in the church hurt you.
Right.
God didn't hurt you.
Right.
and trying to make that distinction and having them completely understand it and take that in is also difficult.
Yep. Yeah, we see a lot of deconstruction right now because someone got their feelings hurt in the church.
Yes,
so it's like it's really tough to battle that when the world is saying, and we've known that the world is going to be that way, but now it's like it kind of feels like it's like infiltrated a little deeper of like the church is bad. It's like, no, there are some people that struggle with things and they're going to hurt you. You know, but that's not a representation of the Lord and his character.
No, it's not.
You've been at Southcrest for a really long time?
Since 1992.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since y'all moved back from
since I came,
the
since
area?
I came to school. So yeah, we were over on Avenue P.
So you made the transition.
We did. It was fun.
Was it?
It was. It was good times.
Yeah.
It was good times. I'm watching the church grow and change and experiencing so much of that has been pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty
the Lord definitely is doing things.
Oh, for sure.
And it's wild to see it all.
And I mean, I know you and I have had this discussion, but it's been a bit that half this church is related.
Yeah.
Like, including us.
It is wild.
Like, it's a little bit of a snaky curve, but
I really do want a tree. I want someone. I just want like just sit down and make this huge family tree of how people are just kind of, which I know it's like a lot of small towns are that way.
They are,
and so it just is that version.
It is. Yes, we are that version.
People that have been going to Southcrest for a really long time.
Yes.
Julia tried once to tell me all the people that I'm kind of semi-related to.
Oh, girl. Yeah.
I'm like, what?
I know. I was thinking about that last night. I was like, we really do need like a.
I just want to see it.
Chart it out.
I just want to see it. It's like the royal family,
It absolutely is.
Anyway, towards the end of the podcast, we just talk about like what are some things that you could tell future generations that may be coming into things that you have gone through.
Oh, golly.
And then what does community look like for you right now?
One thing that I have discovered, it's weird growing up. Like, you don't feel like a grown up. You still feel like your 16, 20-year-old self. But you're the adult now, and you're the one who's supposed to have all the answers, but you probably don't, and that's okay. Being honest with God has been really important because he does already know. It's really not for his benefit that we're being honest with him about what we're feeling and why we're feeling it. It's really for ours. I think the only way that we can, when we were going through that period of not being able to have kids, those they really weren't discussions. They were me screaming and yelling and crying at the Lord. But at the end of that, I was able to say, okay, got it all out. Now we can figure out what to do from here. And by the way, in all of that, he was very gracious to provide distractions so that it wasn't just the fact that we could not have children that I was focusing on 24/7.
Sure.
And so looking for those distractions, even years later, would become important when things were going on and I was having to try to figure things out. I would say, be honest with him. Let him work through those tears. Let him work through the screams. Let him work through all of that emotion with you and look for the ways that he's trying to help in the meantime. And what does community look like? I hope for generations coming up that they will have their group of people. It's so easy when our kids are little because we're in KDO, we're in Sunday school with our kids, we're doing all the things with our kids.
Yep.
Those women that I raised my boys with are still the people that I will go to. I never see them. Never see them because we're just as busy with adult kids as we were with tinies. It's just that the kids aren't all together anymore. But still to this day, if I know that if I need something or if I just miss them, I just shoot them a text and they're still there. I would want that for the generations of women, especially coming up, because we feel like we have to do all the things and be all the things, but we can't. And leaning on one another to help one another rather than judging one another is vital, I think, to really being able to get through this life in one piece.
We talk a lot on this podcast about how we feel isolation is from the enemy.
Absolutely.
And a way to tear us down. And we need, that's one reason why this podcast exists, is for building community with each other, especially in a big church. Finding your small pocket is so important. And it looks like you've definitely worked hard at doing that and making sure that that exists for you. Yeah, I love that you've been so open-handed with the Lord in your life. It's pretty great to see.
Well, thank you. No, this has been wonderful. You're so sweet to have me.
Well, thank you so much. And we'll see y'all next time.
Bye, guys.